Hello, you guys. Hi. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Sandra Said What. I'm very tired. It's late. I've been trying to go live for the past week and a half, but life been life, and I haven't had the time. But today I was like, okay, if I don't do it right this second, I'm not gonna go live. So I wanted to talk to you guys about it. I have a couple of topics that I do want to discuss on the channel. But specifically today, I want to talk about the recent interview that Tasha K did with Shirley Strawberry's husband's mistress. Um, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with the case. I have been following this case. It's really a hot topic on the black blogs, quote unquote, according to some people. It's a hot topic. I've been following, listening to the phone calls. Shout out to Love Lies and Lace Fronts slash Real Talk Bougie, Nyla from Grown Woman Vibes, Chronicles Speaks, phone calls from prison that drop the actual videos, and infamous Sylvia who goes to the court, like to the courtroom, pull out the documents and all that good stuff. So I've been watching all these bloggers like every day. I'm following the case, what's happening. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Shirley Strawberry is just a quick recap, and then we're gonna talk about what I really want to talk about today. Okay, she is. We talked briefly about this on my channel on a previous video. You feel free to check that out. So she is the co-host of the Steve Harvey Morning Show, and she is married to this guy named Ernest William, who also goes by Ernesto. Ernest Williams is currently in the Atlanta jail somewhere. I believe it's Cab or Cobb. I'm not sure. Or Fulton County jail. One of the two. I get them confused. He's been there for more than a year on salacious charges ranging from RAPEing someone, child P. This is YouTube. We can't really say certain things explicitly. So try to follow along with me. Child P, theft, various types of theft by deception, theft by taken. Like he seems to be, according to the charges, and of course he's innocent until proven guilty, but a lot of people are leaning more towards the guilty side. Um, he seems to be going in and out of jail, and Shirley Strawberry did the whole Strawberry letter where some of her phone calls, which are the phone calls that we currently listen to, okay, came out, and she was talking about Steve Harvey. She was in Steve Harvey's house in Dubai, I believe, and she was talking about Steve Harvey's house, and she said something along the line. She was talking to her husband in jail, and phone call from prison was told by Love Lies and Lace Fronts. Also, she has two channels, Love Lies and Lace Fronts and Real Talk Bougie, who told phone call from prison, hey, I guess phone call from prison releases jail calls of people like Alex Murdoch, Susan something. I'm not really familiar with the Susan case, but I did see the documentary about Alex Murdoch on Netflix. So that's what they do. They release jail calls from people who are in jail. So that's the basis of the channel. And so Love Lies and Lace Fronts went over there and said, hey, have you heard of Shirley Strawberry? This is who she is. And they were like, okay, we'll get into it. And unbeknownst to them, they were going to strike a gold mine, and they got all of their jail calls up until a certain point, because at this point I don't believe that they are able to get any more calls. So if you want to check those out, follow the case, follow what's going on. It's a very interesting case because of everything that goes on, with all the charges. And then Shirley Strawberry, I don't feel like that quote unquote strawberry letter was even necessary. The strawberry letter is on the Steve Harvey Morning Show. Shirley Strawberry has a segment called the Strawberry Letter, where she takes people's letters and gives them advice. Okay. So on the Steve Harvey Morning Show, that's why she had to basically come and apologize to Steve for saying to her husband on that what was heard on the jail calls, her saying that Marjorie thinks of them as the help. And I don't even think it was that big of a deal, and like pretty minimal stuff. In my opinion, Steve Harvey just threw her under the bus because he was trying to cover himself. because his wife Marjorie Harvey was being accused of cheating, and he was being accused of cheating. So he threw Shirley under the bus, and everybody stopped talking about them. Okay, now the crazy thing is, not only is Shirley Strawberry's husband being charged with all these charges, on the phone calls he can be heard talking about to a woman. Her name is Sonia, and saying, very explicit things about the fact that they have been intimate together, even though according to her, that never happened. But you can clearly hear on the phone calls her saying what he's done to her, using X toys on her. She never done that until he did that to her. They waited a day for them to get intimate. They were on one of his cars, one of his RVs, and he told her, go in the back and take off your clothes and stuff like that. So it's very apparent that they've been together, right? So the mistress, even though she claims she's not a mistress, but if you are involved with a married man, that makes you a mistress. Okay, that's just the term for it. Whether or not you want to admit that you are involved, the phone calls are apparent. It's clear that Sonia's a liar. Okay, she's trying to cover herself. Don't know why. She's 60, about 60 years old. Ernest is a 60-year-old jailbird, in and out of jail since he was a young child. Okay. He did a 13-year prison bid before Shirley Strawberry married him. Okay. So the purpose of this video today, what I really want to talk about is, this is one of the reasons why I don't take advice from old people, period. Okay. Old people who are supposed to know better. Age is supposed to come with wisdom. That's what we all assume, right? But old people, okay, a lot of the times they don't know no better, okay, or they have an old world mentality that goes for every race, right? We have a lot of extremely racist, non-black old people. We have extremely anti-black people. We have old people who tell you to stay in relationships. Back in the day, relationships used to last 1,000 years, but what they're not mentioning is that they used to be abused emotionally, physically, financially. Old people will lead you astray. Okay, a lot of the times, like I said, they are supposed to be the wise ones who are supposed to be experienced in certain areas in life, but it's apparent in their decisions that they are not. So Shirley Strawberry has a daughter, right? Who I believe the daughter was raised by Shirley's mother. On the phone calls, you can hear the man talking to Shirley, meaning Shirley's husband, on the phone calls from jail, talking to Shirley crazy about her daughter. I've said this before. It's very disheartening to hear this man talk about Shirley's husband, and she was running business about her daughter to her own husband. Again, a lot of old women specifically, okay, they are pick-me's, let's just put it that way, for a lack of a better word. They will climb up the mountain for a man. They will, go down in the low valleys for a man. They will betray their own children, their own family, and these are the people that are supposed to know better. I've realized, unless it's about something very specific. For example, let's say you are a businesswoman. Let's say you're in your 70s, 60s, whatever, and you are a successful business person. You've been successful for the past 40, 30, years, and you have a specific idea that has worked and you clearly are financially successful in. That is like one kind of person I would take advice from. Even then, I wouldn't take all of their advice, because the way of doing business nowadays has changed, right? So with social media and the internet, I'm sure the basics are still the same. So for something like that, I will, if you're telling me you have to set, for example, a schedule, you have to have a routine of what you want to do. You know what I mean? Something like that is something I would take advice on. But as far as life decisions, These old people are proving that they are no better than than young people, than young teenagers. This is what young teenage inexperienced people do. Okay. So on the phone calls, Shirley, I'm trying to not to be here too long, but I'm going to wrap it up soon. But on the phone calls, right? Shirley Strawberry is talking to her husband. She's talking about she's broke. She turned over all her life and her finances. She just wanted to live the soft life as long as he was providing for her and he was keeping up the appearance of her and him being, rich Hollywood couple, well-to-do couple, part of the elite. Okay, as long as he was managing those things, she did not mind, right? She allowed this man to come into her life, not only take over her finances, but ruin her relationship. Not that I don't think they had a great relationship from the get-go, but her relationship with her daughter, the daughter, I guess, went down to the police station when the police kept contacting Shirley, saying, Shirley, you do not know this man. We have people coming forward saying that one of his scam is that he tells people that he wants to help them get a car, right? He'll see you in a busted car. Oh man, you driving this busted car. I'm in a Rolls Royce. Let me show you how to do it. Let me actually assist you. And a lot of the time he would target the women. I feel like he does have cons against men, but more often it was against women, black women, and he would coerce them or whatever. Maybe they willingly did it, went into relationships with him, be intimate with him. And he was basically a gigolo. Convinced them, you need a new car. Oh, I got you. Just send me this amount and I'll go to the lot. And then he'll tell you, pick out the car you want, send you a link or something, pick out the car you want. You'll tell him, and then the car never comes. The car never comes. He's asking you for more money. I need to pay the insurance before I can give you the car. I need to this and that. And when the women would give him thousands of dollars, and he's con people out of like in total, they say about $1 million, right? 15,000 here, 5,000, 2,000, 7,000, and then he would take these women's credit cards and basically run it up. And so what he would do is, once he gets your money and all your information, he saves them to reuse them allegedly. Everything I'm saying is alleged. It hasn't been proven in a court of law, right? But that was basically the gist of it. Once he gets your money, and then he would take the car, put the car under his name. When he does finally acquire the car, it would be under his name. And when it was time to transfer the car title to the person's name, what he would do is go and sell that car, take that money and flip it towards a car for himself, right? So on the phone calls, you can hear Shirley saying to him, the police are come I guess he bought Shirley a crazy expensive wedding ring, right? So, as a courtesy, the jeweler, I guess Shirley's familiar with the jeweler. They are based in Atlanta. A lot of celebrities in Atlanta. The lady is a celebrity jeweler type person. So, because she's familiar with Shirley, she called to give her a heads up, saying, "Hey, so I was contacted by a customer that said your husband basically stole the money that your husband used to put a down payment on the ring for you came out of her account." So, like I said, more often than not, he would engage in sexual relationships with the women, convince them that, you know, I'm here, I'm going to help you, and he would just scam people out of money. And again, he's also accused of other really, really serious things other than the financial crimes, right? So on the phone, Shirley is saying to this man, so the jewelry lady called me and she said, you stole $20,000. Someone came to her and said, you stole $20,000 from her account to pay for my wedding ring. And that didn't trigger in your mind to say, he's being accused of all these things, despite Shirley lying on the Strawberry letter saying that she was getting calls from jail. When her husband first went to jail, she had no idea he was in jail. She was getting phone calls from the jail, and she couldn't imagine who would be contacting her from jail. But it turns out it was her jailbird husband, who's been going in and out of jail and prison since he was a teenager, and he's still at 60 years old scamming. That's the only life he knows. And this man is allegedly very dangerous. Well, it's not alleged because he was convicted on armed robbery. Okay, not once, more than once. Okay, so you're married to a jailbird, in and out of jail, and while he was married to Shirley, he's been in jail 3 times, right? So Shirley Strawberry, like I said, and her daughter, they don't have the best relationship because her mother raised her daughter. But maybe they were mending their relationship. This man comes around. The daughter doesn't like the husband. He says it a lot of times. So the daughter maybe saw something in him that Shirley refused to see. And again, age is supposed to be wisdom, right? You have a 60-year-old woman who refuses to see the red flag. She sees the red flags and she's translating them and trying to pray them away. You don't pray away red flags, okay? At 70 years old, you're not supposed to be sitting by the phone waiting on a call from a man in prison, okay? Especially when you are an established woman who had to let your mother raise your own daughter so that you can work, because that was the workforce back then, right? A lot of women had to make sacrifices, and I don't fault Shirley on that. And you were making, even though it wasn't as much as she should have made, right? Because women were, especially back then, severely underpaid and are still severely underpaid today. But you were making $250,000 a year, right? You mean to tell me that the best you could do, the best you could do was a jailbird, a 6-year-old in and out of prison jailbird, a man who is known for scamming people? And when you are actually being contacted by the police telling you don't know who this man is, Shirley, you need to come talk to us. They even told her, if you want to, come with your lawyer. If Shirley wanted to know, she could have found out. She chose to be a ditz. She chose to be blinded. She chose to be stupid. She chose to be silly. And again, one of the reasons why I don't take advice from older people is because even though they're supposed to know better, they really don't. Now, let's move on to this side chick, 60-year-old side chick. At 60 years old, you're supposed to be planning your retirement if you haven't retired yet, right? If you've had an ideal life where everything went okay, because I know there are people that work well below beyond their 60s, right? And I'm not judging for that. But I'm saying at 60 years old, you're supposed to have an established life. That doesn't mean you have to have a husband or a man, because people choose different lives that they want to lead, right? But at 60 years old, you're not supposed to be here waiting for a 5-minute phone call in the morning from someone's husband, because that's all the time they have to give you. Okay, at 60 years old, that's all the time. You're waiting for a man to call you, and then you are waiting for a man to call you, and you don't hear from him for 3 weeks. You're searching high and low at 60 years old after you're on the phone talking about doing your muscle exercises to get that thing ready for him when he comes out of jail. And you're still lying about being a mistress. A mistress is a nice word. When I tell you I wanted to put something completely different on the title, but on this channel, I don't want to be disrespectful. I just want us to use our common sense and use our brains, and as young and older people, more mature people, to make better decisions in life. I don't want to be one of those bloggers that come and cuss and, have bad energy and go in on people. Not that I don't enjoy that type of content. Sometimes you have to go in on people, but me personally, I choose not to do that. I'm choosing a different route for my content. I want people to have a different sense of, because me, I listen to different bloggers and different content creators for different reasons, right? There are content creators. Sometimes I want something more happy, more upbeat. I'll listen to this person on that subject. Or I want something more serious, or I want something, a bit more in your face. So my channel, I'm not going to like the things that I would say privately about them. I will not say it in public because I understand they're human beings. They happen to be in the, we happen to know their business. I always think of it as, what if that was me? What if my business out there, how I would feel and how I would think about that. But I just want, my point is, I want us to really, as not just people, as women, to know, learn. I know it's easier said than done. From what it seems like, Sonia is a jailbird also. She's used to these type of people. These are, and she's talking about, oh, she can build a man. She's a, she can be build a bay. At 60 years old, you're not supposed to be looking to build a bay, okay? At 60 years old, if you do want someone, you should be established enough to have your own pickings. You should be able to say, this is who I am, I'm established, this is my value, and this is the kind of person I want, and this is the kind of person you should seek out. Not a man who's married, not a man who's in jail. She's talking about, oh, we can talk about anything as long as the person is not, using substances. I can build them. We can talk about a drive-by. Who talks about a drive-by? That is, I want people to truly understand. Going to jail or prison once in your life is not a normal thing. Not even once. Most people, it doesn't matter your race, your ethnicity, your culture, it does not matter. Going to jail is not a normal thing. Going to prison is not a normal thing. Okay? Doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter the country, doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. That is not normal. Okay? You should not be dealing with anyone who is going to, in and out of jail for any reason. And mind you, a lot of people don't realize dating someone who just comes out of prison or jail or is in and out of jail is very expensive. As if you listen to the calls with Shirley Strawberry, it's very expensive. You have to always pay for their lawyer, for their defense, for this and that. I'm learning a lot of things about the crime community that I wouldn't have otherwise have known unless I listen to this, right? To these calls. You have to put money on their books. You have to try to, now you're by yourself out here like Shirley was trying to figure out life because this man got her evicted not once, not twice, not three, not four, but 5 times. A woman who's been working since for 40 years, making a quarter of a million, making $500,000 a year, doesn't even have a place to stay. I'm that young. I'm much younger than Shirley, right? And I'm telling you right now, if I want to get an apartment, I can. You mean tell me I don't, it just doesn't make sense, right? And also, when someone comes out of jail or prison, depending on the crime they committed, they have to pay restitution, which means, okay, they do not have any money, right? They can't get a job because they're a felon. Most people don't hire felons, right? And another thing about it is felons are always scheming. I hate to say the stereotype, but that's the reality, right? So they will resort to scheming. So they're going to go back. You're out here trying to figure out life. They have to pay restitutions, right? So they don't have money to take care of you or themselves, right? And Shirley was talking about how she was actually upset when her daughter Sheridan got pregnant so young. She wasn't ready to be a grandma, blah, 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 blah. She was pissed. But you're not pissed that you actually married a jailbird, a 6-year-old jailbird at 70 years old when you're supposed to be retiring, saving your money. And you're over here paying $40,000 for a lawyer because you married a jailbird and you've gone broke and you've turned over all your accounts to him. And now you have to basically at 70 years old, when in your golden years, Shirley looks amazing. Body, face, we're not going to take that from her. But as amazing as you look, you are still an old timer, right? In your mind, You still have an old world belief. Women like Shirley's, old women particularly, have the mindset that a man is supposed to be in charge. I don't disagree with allowing your partner to lead you. But when they are leading you to the gutter of the valley, you falling down, okay, you're losing everything you have, then that's a problem. Okay? That's a problem. That's when you have to say, okay, I'm letting you lead now. You going off the road. You going off the road. Okay, let me just guide you back on and let you take it from there. That's how it's supposed to be, right? But then you have women like Shirley who allow a man to ruin their life, and she was still going. If these calls didn't go public, Shirley would still be sticking by this man despite all these charges. And then, according to him, everybody's lying on him, right? Everybody's lying. Everybody can't be lying. I'm one person. I always say, just because everybody's saying something doesn't mean it's true. Like, oh, if everybody's saying something about so and so, it must be true. I don't believe that, right? Especially when it comes to instances of racism. If you go, let's say a black person goes somewhere, if everywhere you go you have a problem, then you're the problem. I don't believe that, because if I'm black, racism is the problem. I just happen to be the victim, but society doesn't see it that way, right? But when you have someone with a criminal history being accused of the same thing that they were in prison for, right? And you have people contacting you, people in your comment sections for years telling you, hey, this is what your husband's doing. Hey, he is a scammer. Be careful of him. And you actually took him from another woman who he was building with. And the woman realized, okay, maybe, I don't know, good for Ebony. Maybe this is Shirley's punishment for what she did to Ebony, because he was dating Ebony. And in one of the phone calls, one of his friends, Dre, actually says, yeah, you like to go for the celebrity type. So you people are a target. So he targets celebrities, and he convinced you that he's all this and all that. And because he shows up in a Rolls Royce, you trust them. You trust, oh, okay, if he has a Rolls Royce, he must have money. Meanwhile, you being evicted, you're not worried about marrying a jailbird that's getting you evicted, but you're worried about your daughter who has a child out of wedlock. Now, I'm not encouraging teen pregnancy. I'm not encouraging being having a child when you're not financially stable. But let's be for real. Let's be for real. Marrying a jailbird and marrying a jailbird and someone who is clearly, their character is degrading and demeaning, dragging you like to the mud with them, that to me is the bigger problem. And then you have women like Sonia who agreed to be a mistress and go on an interview and lie about it as if the public is stupid, trying to convince us that we didn't hear what we heard. Automatically, you hear her on these phone calls as these charges are being brought against this man, because that's her job, to keep up with this man's life, another woman's husband's life, right? Checking for the charges, what's coming up against them. She claims to be a paralegal, so she thinks she's a legal expert. Let me tell you something. A paralegal does not know nearly as much as an actual lawyer. She is not a lawyer. Just like when you go to the hospitals, they have nurses and they have the techs that help nurses, right? The techs are very helpful to the nurses, to the care of the patient. But let me tell you something. Them techs, they don't know nearly as much as a nurse does. There's a huge difference between being a paralegal and being a lawyer. And she keep advising this man, only telling him part of the story, telling him when things are coming out, only telling him, half of the story. And he's here drinking the Kool-Aid and drowning himself even more. Although I don't mind, it's showing his true character, showing his behavior. But when you have a woman like that who goes to check and she sees charges of RAPE, abuse of children sexually, and she's not extremely concerned, women like that are disgusting. This is a 60-year-old grandmother. Okay, this woman is on the phone watching her niece, baby, like her niece, who happens to be a baby, and you can hear her on the phone call with a jailbird with a baby around. It's disgusting. And she automatically does not believe, oh, all of them are lying. They're lying, they're lying, they're lying. You do not know this man. You said yourself the version of him you know. There are plenty of other versions of him you do not know. And to say, um, R. Kelly's victims were lying too. So basically, you just don't believe women. And she talks a lot about, oh, as soon as a woman is corn, she go reports it to the police. That is not true. That is not true. And old hags like Sonya with her hard faced ass, yeah, she's slim and tiny. And them filters, she might look soft. Her skin might look soft, but she's hard in the face. Okay? You're a 60-year-old hoe, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Ernest, a 60-year-old jailbird. Shirley Strawberry, a 7-year-old ditz. You guys need to learn better, do better. I want all young women to not follow these people. And I'm so glad with the revolution of social media, how Gen Z is learning a lot more now with the resources available and are actually doing better. Anyway, you guys, this was it for this edition of Sandra Said What. Thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you guys later. Be sure to subscribe and don't forget to click that like button to get me in the algorithm. And I'll talk to you later. If you're in the replay, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and I'll see you later. Bye.